Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm Ying, and I'll be your host today for this webinar on unlocking the next generation of predictive maintenance. This will be a 45-minute sessions between me and Taku-san, with 30 minutes of conversation between me and Taku, and the last 15 minutes with open Q&A. So in case you guys have any questions during the conversations, please feel free to type in your questions in the team chat itself, and we will hopefully address it in the last 15 minutes of the session. So let me just do a quick introduction. Today here with me, I have Mr. Taku-san. Mr. Taku is our expert in predictive maintenance. Mr. Taku, can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Thank you. Nice to see you, everybody. I'm Taku, based in Singapore, and I'm in charge of the predictive maintenance solution of the Siemens for Asia Pacific and Middle East wide. Thank you.
Thank you, Taku. And I believe all of us are here today because we want to find out more about predictive maintenance. I think predictive maintenance as a term is not something new to all of us here, but I think this predictive maintenance still has a bit more for us to explore. So perhaps, Mr. Taku, can you tell us a bit more about predictive maintenance and what is this all about?
Okay, so predictive maintenance itself is not new word. Probably you have heard of this vocabulary maybe 1 or 2 decades ago. Yeah, but actually predictive maintenance has not been implemented in the manufacturing industry so far well. Yeah, and that's why yes, most of the people know about the terminology itself, but actually yes, still now when I have the conversation with the customer, some of the people misunderstanding. But predictive maintenance, if I can say in words, is that the maintenance, their approach that try to capture that failure before that really actual asset will fail.
I see. So maybe can you explain just a little bit more, how is predictive maintenance different from the traditional maintenance?
Okay, so traditional maintenance methodology, which is still ongoing as of today, is like a preventive maintenance, which means every 6 months or every 3 months, the manufacturer's maintenance team will maintain because it may be broken down a little bit furthermore. Yeah, that's why before it breaks, we don't know if it's really right timing to maintain, but every 6 months they fix the term, and then this is how they keep on their maintenance activity. So while predictive maintenance is always watching their condition data from the asset, and then make a decision of the right timing to go maintenance.
I see. So you have mentioned predictive maintenance. So why is it difficult for predictive maintenance, and what is the challenge that you see in maintenance for most manufacturing companies nowadays?
Okay. Yes, as I said, predictive maintenance word itself is not new. But that's why most of the manufacturer have their kind of image. If they can achieve the predictive maintenance, that word will be more beautiful, right? But there are many difficulties as of today. For example, the data readiness. I mean, the data is not available, or the people, the organization are not available. There's many different, challenges each individual company have today.
I see. I think you have mentioned some of the keywords which also happens to be in the title of our webinar today, which is people, data, and Gen AI. Perhaps, Mr. Taku-san, can you give us a brief overview of what is these 3 terms about and how is it related to the world of predictive maintenance?
Okay, so this data and the people and AI yes, is the kind of your 3 biggest important role in the predictive maintenance to be successful. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. That's why most of the companies should have those 3 elements, even though they don't have the AI, but they have the capability to implement AI. But the issue is how well they implement the AI.
I see. And I believe data might be the most crucial point in order for a successful implementation of a predictive maintenance. Can you tell us a bit more about data and how does data play a role in this predictive maintenance?
Okay, so data is everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah, especially manufacturing, OT floor, and then we have tons of the data.
Yes.
But unfortunately, I haven't seen the company who utilize that data for future improvements. For example, many company, there is the data, but they don't, utilize the data. I mean, even they don't monitor the data, or they monitor and they record the data, but they don't utilize the data for future improvements. For example, if a company is recording this motor's vibration data for last 3 years,
Yeah,
I have seen some of their company in the past, but none of their company who recorded the data utilize that data for future improvements.
I see. And then how can data analytics in this case be able to help in the case of a shop floor, like what you mentioned just now, having 3 years worth of data? How does it all come together to form a meaningful thing for the
Okay,
industries?
I see. So going back to the beginning, the data, people, AI, they are not disconnected. They are all connected. And that's why, the reason why data is kind of isolated as of today is that we do not know how to utilize the data.
Mm-hmm.
If we hire, for example, the data analytics person, yeah, but the data is huge. And that's why that new colleague will be very busy if they try to analyze all the data. Yeah, that's why the AI is playing a very important role to help the people how utilize the data.
I see. And then since you have mentioned people, let us move on to the second keywords that we would want to address today in this webinar, which is people. I mean, I personally have been using AI in my personal settings, using AI to generate an email, to do a language check, and also maybe to summarize this meeting that I've just attended. So in a context of AI, when we talk about it, a lot of people have the assumption that AI might be taking over the world, maybe in the futures, and perhaps even in the recent few years, AI might eventually take over jobs. So when we bring AI into the shop floor, what is your thought on AI and how does it benefit people and the company in general?
Okay, so AI would be a very important role, data as well, but the most important thing is people.
Okay.
Yes, let's think about the training model of the AI. Who give the training to the AI? People, right?
Yes.
So people act like parents when we educate their children. Yes, and without parents, the children cannot be grown well, right? And that's why always people are needed to utilize the data, and also they are to help out how good the machine learning model works for the AI. Yes, and also after the AI make a decision or support the making the decision for the people, and then people is only essential subject, or let's say the maintenance crew needs to make a decision what to do next. Yeah, even data and AI cannot make any decision.
I see.
Yeah.
So one way to see it as in the case of AI in this industrial setting, it's not a way to replace people, but rather AI as a helping hand, as a really smart colleague that is able to help us and make our work more effective.
Exactly. Yes, the maintenance crew will be able to focus only on the essential work.
I see. And in the case of Siemens, how has Siemens be able to bring in this concept to our customers?
Okay, so Siemens has helped, or even now are helping our many digitalization project in their customers, especially who are in manufacturing industry. Yes, and that's why we know that what is the most important point. I mean the bottlenecks. Yeah, so we can identify their customers' bottlenecks, and also we understand their manufacturing industry's point. I mean their challenges or languages or whatever, because also we are one of the manufacturers. Yeah. And then also, we know that how to solve those problems. And also, if the customer have their KPI, and also we know that how we try to help, or we can help the customer so that the customer can achieve the KPI.
I see. And I believe specifically on the topic of predictive maintenance, we in Siemens have this portfolio called Senseye, which is exactly what we need to address predictive maintenance and how we can help the industries achieve a better standards and reduce downtimes and improve efficiency. So what is Senseye? Can you tell us a bit more about Senseye?
Okay, so Senseye is the name of the Siemens predictive maintenance solution, which is the cloud-based software solution. Yeah, and then we are focusing on the customers' return on investment. Yeah, not just the accuracy of the detecting or analyzing the asset data, but we are focusing on customers' return on investment so that the customer can get the maximum return out of the solution. So yes, there are many points, but in short, there are three advantages. One is that their scalability, because one Siemens Senseye algorithm can apply for many different kinds of the asset. For example, if we have the Google about the predictive maintenance or condition-based maintenance solution, and then we can find, for example, bearing or motor dedicated solution. But since I can apply for many different kinds of asset, not only the rotary machine, but also the other stuff. I mean, like an electrical components or chiller or compressor, whatever. And then second point is that yes, we are focusing on their customers' challenges. Yeah. What is customers' most important point? Yeah. Probably it's return on investment. Yes. And that's why to track the return on investment for the customer together, and we always try to work with their customers. And the third point is that yes, the generative AI. Yeah. And then, yes, as you see here, and then like an yes, language learning model. And then the customer can ask any questions to the co-pilot of the Senseye. Imagine that if there's no kind of skillful maintenance crew nearby, and then if I am very junior maintenance crew who joined the company last month, and then I don't know what to do. Yes, but having yes, those kind of body as a co-pilot, then yes, I can ask always the question to co-pilot and then get the right answer immediately.
Well, never have I thought that we can actually implement Copilot into industrial setting. So it seems like Gen AI, or rather Senseye, is the way that we can improve our predictive maintenance. But what is the first step into Senseye? If someone is interested in Senseye and the whole topic of predictive maintenance in general, what should one do? What is the first step?
Okay, so yes, as I talked before, the data and also people and AI implementation kind of readiness would be totally different by companies.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's why at this point, I cannot say we should start with this to all of your customers, right? And that's why, yes, we initially try to have the opportunity to discuss with the customer, to know each other, and also especially for us to know about their client's position or situation. For example, which data is available as of today, and then assets to monitors are already identified. Yeah. And then how we can monitor the data from the asset. For example, do we need the additional sensor, or if in case of the motor, is this kind of, for example, torque is necessary? And then the torque and the speed is enough good to predict that this usage of the motor case. Yeah, because of even it's the same motor by usage, and then we may need to change the signals to monitor from the motor. Yeah, that's why there are many points to start with. But anyway, no worries. Our expert in each region are ready to start the conversation with the customer.
Yep. I agree with Taku-san. I think every industries have very different procedures and there's no one fixed way to implement predictive maintenance. But just now you mentioned a very interesting point to me, which is Senseye is industry agnostic. Can you explain a bit more about this topic?
Okay. Yeah, because of the yes, we have already started the algorithm development more than 15 years ago. Yeah, before predictive maintenance has become really, they are matured in the market. Yeah, and that's why we have many customers, from in the past. Yeah, and also we have the more than, yes, 4-digit, experiences about the assets. Yeah, and then as of today, yeah, one of the yes, as I said, one of the advantage of the sensor is one algorithm can monitor or can analyze many different kinds of assets.
Yep.
So as of today, we are monitoring more than 500 different kinds of assets. Yeah.
Wow.
And also our customers are scattered in varied industry. For example, yes, automotive and electronics and then so on. Yeah. And that's why, yes, we have specific industries customers the pain points for the maintenance. And also we have the, thousands of the experiences about the specific asset case.
I see. And is there any particular industry that is most beneficial from Senseye?
Well, I would say there's no particular industry, yeah, rather than any specific industry, because as I said, the situation of the customer is totally different. That's why even in the same industry, then the cost that the customer is spending for maintenance process may be different. Yes, and then that's why I'm sure that this sensor predictive maintenance solution will help that customer's maintenance activity, which means which we can save the cost of the maintenance. Yeah.
I think you mentioned a very important term that a lot of people is interested in, which is cost, and in fact, ROI. So what should one expect when it comes to the implementation of predictive maintenance in their plant? How can we consider what's the possible cost and does it justify a good ROI?
Okay, so in this case, yes, as I mentioned, and the situation is totally different by customers. Yeah, and that's why first of all we start the discussion, and then after that, if customer likes our solution, and then we go to the workshop. Workshop means our expert will visit the customer's site physically, not remote, yes, to identify what is the more important asset for the customer. So important means is that which asset is more cost impactful for the customer if the asset get the unexpected downtime, and also strategically important or any other reasons. Yes. And also, yes, how we can get the data from the asset. Yeah. And then everything are after we scope this kind of the technical shape, and then we submit the report to the customer. Yeah. And then that report includes not only the scope for the small start, which is the next step, but also we include the cost assumption. Return on investment assumption. How much cost the customer is spending as of today for the maintenance, and then out of that, how much we assume that the customer can save, which means it's really the good help for the customer to make a decision if they go to the real small test, small start or not. Yeah, without knowing their expected return on investment. Even it is said that the small start, it's very difficult to make a decision. And that's why to assist the customer for our decision making, we write a report based on our assessment, which is a physical, our expert visiting the customer.
I think it's really nice for companies that not sure how and where they should start with predictive maintenance, and having Siemens help to send in expert right from the start to understand your plans and even produce a report to come up with an ROI report to let you understand what are you expecting and what should you be expecting before you decide whether you want to embark with Senseye on that. Taku-san, just now you mentioned that we do have many implementations of Senseye around the world so far. Could you share some examples of how maybe one or two companies and how have they benefited from this implementations of?
Okay, so yeah, as I said, Senseye has started our business more than 15 years ago. Yes, that's why there are a number of the customers over the world.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. And then, okay, let me give one of the example is in the steel industry.
Oh,
yeah.
Steel.
Yes. Then this company has made the return on investment within 3 months, which means their investment is that their cost for license fee and also additional sensor fee and also the installation fee. Yeah, the return is that the amount of the cost they can save after the implementation. Yes.
Wow, 3 months for ROI is pretty impressive.
Exactly. Yes. Not only this customer, but also the another customer. Yes, other customers as well. Yeah. Our, our Senseye users, I mean, the customers' return on investment is pretty good. That's why once they have started their using their Senseye, and then they just keep on being the loyal customers.
I see. That's nice to hear. And maybe let me jump back to the role of predictive maintenance a bit. So, what do maintenance teams play in the role of predictive maintenance? So, we always have existing maintenance staff in the shop floor helping us to maintain the plants. So, if we were to introduce predictive maintenance, how can the existing maintenance teams come into play?
Okay. So yes, yes, let's assume that the currently the maintenance team is doing the preventive maintenance, which means they are scheduled maintenance,
Yeah.
right? So I assume that they are super busy because they have the many different kinds of the asset, the many assets, and also they have the group of the asset. For example, this group of asset we need to maintain every 3 months, and then another group of asset we need to maintain every 6 months, and so on. That's why every day they are fully packed with a schedule of the kind of this scheduled maintain. And then in addition to that, sometimes they get the phone call, I mean urgent phone call from the production line colleague. Hey, maintenance crew, come over here. My production line in front is suddenly stopped now. Yeah, come here and fix it and get the line restart again. Otherwise, I can't keep on the production. Yeah, and that's why they need to do that every 3 months or 6 months maintenance. But they need to stop their hands and then they need to go to the production line and then they need to, find out what happened, why it happened, and how to solve it. And then meanwhile, the clock is ticking. Yeah, because every single second costs a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, and then yes, so thinking about those situation, and then having their implementation of the predictive maintenance, especially Sensei, is that they get the notification when the asset is needed to be maintained. Yeah, and that's why only when they get the notification, and then they just go to the interface of the sensor application, and then they understand what happened, and then why it's happening, and then when is the really right timing for maintenance. Yeah, and then that's why they can focus only on their essential work.
I see. And when it comes to the implementation of predictive maintenance, what are some common challenges that you see based on your experience so far?
Okay, so we have implemented this solution for many customers, but so to speak, the biggest obstacle for the implementation of the Sensei is people by themselves. Yes, because the software is ready. I mean, the interface is really friendly, and also the algorithm is proven that they are enough accurate, and also we have there are many customers references in the past that they could get the paid off of the return on investment, but still the maintenance crew or other people, other employees in the company, if they are not ready for that transformation, I mean digital transformation, and then even though the software is nice one, but if they don't change the attitude or the process, or even they don't change the mindset for the digitalization, then it's very difficult to get the kind of the much return on investment.
I see. Yes, definitely mindset is a very important key factor to ensure that we implement predictive maintenance, not just predictive maintenance, but digital transformation as a whole. The reason why it's taking slower than expected for digital transformation is all the mindset. So perhaps could you elaborate a bit more on how Siemens can help companies out there that is looking out on digital transformation as well as implementations of any solutions to embark on this journey successfully and effectively?
Okay, so yes, Sensei is one of the greatest Siemens predictive maintenance tool. Then also Siemens itself has helped the many digitalization project for their customer, especially in the manufacturing industry. Yes, and that's why we can know that there is how customer can effectively implement the Senseye. Yeah. Not only they are like introducing or giving the training of the software itself, but also after we sell the license to the customer, which means after the customer implement the Senseye, and then we hold the weekly meeting with the customer, so that not only we can tell or we can train, we can give the training of the software to the customer, but also we try to assist the customer so that they can transform into the digitalization.
I see.
Yeah.
And then what are some of the KPIs that companies can see be improving with the implementations of Senseye?
Well, most popular KPI as for the maintenance, especially in their implementation of the sensor, is return on investment.
Return on investment.
Yes, some customer may have the fear, how much is the price? Yeah, but actually, the price itself is okay. Yeah, okay means return is more important.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned that the steel company which you have been working with is able to get an ROI with 3 months, and I expect this return is continuous, and we'll be expecting more.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Right.
And in the case of ASEAN in the region, have you seen any successful implementations of predictive maintenance?
Okay, so we have, even though we have been in this market a long time before, but it used to be the British and European market. Yes. So just about 1 year ago, we have started the promotion this solution in the Asia Pacific, especially ASEAN market. Yeah, and then that's why yes, the active, our working time was just 1 year, let's say. Yeah, but in this last year, and then we have got the 3 already, the successful implementation of the customer. Yeah, and then also, handful customers are now being in the implementation phase.
I see. So what is, I would say, the next immediate step that customers or audience online should do if they would like to get introduced more about Senseye?
Okay, so yes, there are many ways because we have firstly the website. Yes, so please visit the www.siemens/Senseye. Senseye spelling is sense is the sensing, and then I is the I. So the last E of the sense is in the same as the first I's E. Yeah, Senseye. Yeah. So please visit Siemens/Senseye, and then you will find the bunch of the information, including their customers' references or how it works, and also their our easy return on invested calculator is also available. Yes, and then also not only just visiting their website, and then all of our regional colleagues in the Siemens entity are ready to give their live demo to you. And then that's why please contact also the regional Siemens colleagues, and then please make an appointment, and then immediately our colleague will give the explanation and also the live demo.
Thank you very much, Taku-san. And I believe Taku-san himself will be also there to help you guys.
Absolutely. When I'm available, I will really love to visit your countries as well.
Okay, all right. We are around halfway through our webinar now. Perhaps let us open the floor to some questions. Do we have any questions from the mailbox? Okay, in the chat box, let me just open it up. I am not able to access the questions. Okay, it's coming in. So, Mr. Taku-san, I have a very interesting question here. How do you collaborate with domain experts from the customer side, if required, when developing a predictive model?
Okay, thank you. Yes, the Senseye is machine learning implemented. Yes, and then if the domain expert has already knowledge or some data in the past, and then for sure we can digest the domain expert or even pass there into the Senseye, so that your customer can utilize this domain knowledge from your day one usage of the Senseye. So because of the the data format can be varied. I mean, depends on the customer. Sometimes customer making a handwriting note, or can be inside a brain, or even the Excel format. Yes, and that's why every time we start the new project with the customer, and then yes, as I said, we start with the workshop so that we should understand the customer's standing point and the situation, and then how we can start very efficiently and also effectively from day one for the specific each individual customers. And that's why, yes, how to start this kind of how to utilize the the domain expert usage. And then for sure we have the many different ways to implement into the Senseye application. Yes, that's why, yes, we can discuss.
Okay. What pre-built model templates do you offer, and how much customization is required between customers to customers?
Okay, so we have the fixed user interface as on the SaaS application. So as long as the PC is connected to your internet, and then they get their application user interface, and also every hour updated, yeah, from the cloud. Yes, and then if any customer who want to use the specific design of the interface, and then yes, we would recommend that they use their API, because we open their API so that their customer can use the specific interface. Yeah, and also if any customer want to collaborate with the other vendors too, like a CMMS or ERP or SCADA, and also yes, we have some APIs so that the Senseye can collaborate with the many third-party vendors. And that's why, yes, there are those users who want to use their own specific interface, and then yes, their API will help a lot.
I see. Thank you for that. The next questions from the floor is, how accurate are Senseye's predictive solutions, and what factors influence their performance?
Okay, so for sure, the accuracy of the algorithm is not good. Yeah, just in case. Then their maintenance crew will get their wrong alarm, right? Even though their product or asset is not going to be fail, but they get the alarm that that asset may be going to be fail, or vice versa. Yeah, this is kind of the kind of reverse way of the achieving the return on investment, right? Yes, and then yes, how accurate the Senseye algorithm is. Yes, to answer your question, are more than 90% of the customer are happy with the not only the accuracy of the algorithm, but also the guidance to the maintenance crew how to do or what to do next via Gen AI. So all inclusive, the kind of guidance, including the analytics model, and also the accuracy and the warning timing, and also guidance to the maintenance crew, everything included. And then 90% of the customer as of today are really happy. So that's why just focusing on the accuracy, I can say accuracy is more than 90%.
That's good to hear. And then the next step is, how do you deal with the variability of data between customers? For example, not every customer will have all the required sensor data, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why yes, at the beginning we will have the workshop, and that's why yes, we have to identify which data from the asset would be necessary for this customer's specific case. Yeah, and that's why sometimes we recommend just torque, but sometimes for the different customer, or even it's the same customer but different usage of their motor, we recommend the torque and vibration.
Okay.
Yeah, this is how we start.
Yeah, so I think every customer is indeed really different. So we really need to be there from the start, and Siemens will be there with you from the start to identify how exactly can we customize these solutions to your specific plans and your specific industry and specific assets.
Exactly. So back into the topic which we have mentioned beginning of this webinar, and then yes, the reason why predictive maintenance has not been so much successfully implemented in this industry is, I mean, the manufacturing industry, is the data accuracy. So sometimes customers have chosen the wrong signal, Yeah. And then even they choose their right signal, for example, vibration, and then they need to extract the feature value. For example, if there's a vibration data, it's a kind of time-based, yeah, but there is a maximum value, minimum value, mean value, average, and kurtosis and whatever, yes, and also the frequency, FFT, yeah, and then that's why, yes, which element or which the feature we should extract from just the vibration data. This is also a very important factor. I mean, a successful factor before we have to determine before we start the predictive maintenance project
I see.
that we have to determine.
I see. And how do we tell, I mean, if customers would like to know, how can we roughly gauge the expected budget required for this um, project of implementation?
Okay, so this also, depends on the customer side. Yeah, because if the number of the asset is big, and also if, we need the more additional sensors, and then the budget is also going to be big. Yes, but I really would like all of the customers to focus on the return on investment. Yes, for sure. Every single company cannot start the project before knowing the budget, right? Yes, and then again, that situation is totally different by the customer, and that's why by having the workshop, and then we try to make it clear that the scope for the proof of value, which is the next step, which means the small start. Yeah, and then we will clear in the report that the number of the asset, and then which asset, and then which additional sensor will be necessary. Yeah, if in case of need, and also how that data, which data is going to be taken, and also which the feature value is extracted, and where is it an edge device would be necessary, or PLC, or without any additional device, and then it's totally depends on the customer. And then everything, including a bill of materials, is there in the report, and then together with the budget, and then we will make it clear and then submit to the customer. So from that point of the time, and the customer will know the scope of the next step with a certain amount of the budget.
I see. I think we have a follow-up questions based on the question two, which I mentioned regarding pre-built model templates. So the follow-up question is there any pre-built algorithm models or templates that you offer off the shelf that can be reused and not rebuilt from scratch?
Well, okay. So the Senseye doesn't have any specific mechanical model inside. Yeah. Thinking about the other software too, which have the mechanical model, for example, robot model, yeah, 6-joint model, and then but depends on the model, and then the accuracy would be different, and also the depends on the data which makes this model learn, and it takes a long time. For example, 1 year they need to make the model learn, and then finally, if they get the failure case, and then it start working and so on. Yeah, but Senseye doesn't have any specific mechanical model inside. So this is one of the biggest advantages, and that we do not have to focus on the massive model. But before we start, we will set up the parameter setting of the application. So which asset is this? Is this robot? If it's a robot, and then 6-axis robot, and then if it's a 6-axis robot, and then which data we are taking? For example, position and speed, and then droop, yeah, and vibration, temperature, yeah. All of these kind of not only the physical OT layers connectivity, but also we will set up the parameters in the application. Yes, and that's why, yes, this is how we can effectively start from the day one about the analytics model. Yeah, and also if there are many changeovers in a day, and then usually customer get their result of the analytics from day 3 or day 4.
I see. Well, then, is there any possibilities of the risks of predictive maintenance in the use of Senseye? What are some of the risks?
What is it? Sorry.
Risk.
Risk.
Yes.
risk of yes, the risk of the Senseye implementation is that, okay, so to minimize the risk, we help the customer. As I said, during the implementation or even after the implementation, we will have the weekly meeting. Yes, this is how we also one of the is purpose is that to minimize the customer's risk. But okay, or taking out this kind of our measures to minimize the risk, and then the risk would be that maybe your maintenance crew will be too much relaxed because of software can do for me everything, and that's why I don't have to do anything. No, this is wrong. Yeah, and then as I said, only when the maintenance crew get the notification from the application, and then they need to watch. But finally, the maintenance crew will get the guide from the application, and then they can find the right measure in very short time. But finally, that action needs to be done by still maintenance crew. Yeah. And also the maintenance crew needs to have their changed mindset from before, because even software is analyzing and also giving the insight to the maintenance crew. If maintenance crew doesn't change anything, and then the company cannot save the cost.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's why this is kind of the risk, I should say. Yes.
And then another question from the ground is, do you have successful deployment with data center customers so far?
Data center customer, yes. As far as I know that there are some of the data center customers, and then we are keep on the discussion. But as of today, there's no customers. But as for the data center or even the other industries, critical asset would be the utilities. Yeah, how they make up that kind of cooling system 24/7 available. Yeah, and then that's why as for the utilities, which is also our same components like a compressor and the chillers and so on, are used for many other industries. Yes, that's why we can say we have the thousands of the experiences.
That's nice to hear. And I think this might be the last question, but how does Senseye measure the effectiveness of predictive maintenance prediction? What are the metrics that are used to evaluate performance?
Okay, so the KPI should be or can be different by customers. Yeah, and then in Senseye application, we have the dashboard function. I mean the statistics function that the customer can track and chase each own KPIs. For example, how many cases or how many failures has happened in the last 12 months. I mean the monthly graph the customer can check, and also how much labor they have spent and how much cost they can save and so on. Yes, and also if the customer have the specific KPI which is not listed in the default Senseye application, and we Siemens can make the specific the dashboard for the customers.
Wow.
Yeah, this is how we track. And then also as I said, in the weekly meeting during the customer started the usage of the application, and then we try to nurture the user to utilize this dashboard. Yeah, and also sometimes we need the input from the maintenance crew about for example, how much labor they spent for this specific maintenance activity and so on. So this is how we track and trace our customer specific KPI.
I see. I think we have just one more minute left to our webinar. Maybe I will just ask on the last question we have from the ground, but maybe let me just try to rephrase it further. What do you think is the unique point about Senseye? How is it different from any other predictive maintenance solutions that there are out in the market?
Okay, so there are several points. Yes, one is it's scalability. Yes, as I said, one algorithm can apply for many different kinds of assets. Yes, and then the second point is that there are also the cloud solution that you can deploy the different location of the assets very easily. And then also we are focusing on the customers' return on investment which means we are not just selling the license and then thank you very much, customer, for purchasing our license, and then have a good luck, bye-bye. No, we never say that. Even after you will sell the license, we help the implementation, and also we try to work along with the customer, which means we are also monitoring the KPI, customer specific KPI together with the customer. And then also we give the advice how customer can achieve this kind of KPI target and so on. And also lastly, we know digitalization. What is a pain point? And then how the customer can solve those pain points for the digitalization. Yes.
All right, and then that's about time now. Thank you everyone in the audience for your participations, and thank you for the wonderful questions. And most importantly, thank you, Mr. Taku, for joining us today to give
Thank you,
us
Shuin.
so much insight about predictive maintenance. In case any one of you are more interested about Senseye or predictive maintenance in general, feel free to visit our website at Siemens. And also, Taku-san has kindly shared his contact. Please feel free to reach out to Taku-san in case of any questions. I'm sure he's happy to address any questions from our side. Thank you everyone for your time. Thank you for joining this webinar.
Thank you.
Have a
See
nice
you.
day. Bye.
Bye-bye.